Good morning. Thank you, Joel, for our beautiful music this morning. Welcome to Unitarian Universalist Church of the Desert. I'm Denise Janssen, and I'm so excited to be the worship associate for this very special celebration, our induction of our 8 new members. Before we begin, please take a moment to silence your cell phones and electronic devices. Here, as we do every week, we acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded lands and the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla people, and we commit to grow in our understanding and relationship with this land and with the people who inhabited it and nurtured it before our arrival. In this congregation, where we strive to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person, you are welcome no matter your sexual orientation or gender identity, your age, your size, whether you're rich or you're poor. We welcome people of all races, religions, and cultures. We welcome you from wherever you come from and whoever you love. We welcome all those who will learn and grow with us as we commit together to embrace the rich and beautiful diversity of the world. Our goal is to continue to build a community centered in justice, in compassion, and in love. We look forward to getting to know you better at our coffee time after today's service. If you want to learn more about us, please contact Pam in our office at admin@uucod.org. That's admin@uucod.org to begin receiving our newsletter. Or if you cannot wait until next Friday for the newsletter to come out, you can always visit our website, www.uucod.org. And now please join me as Reverend Ian rings our Tibetan bowl and we listen to the wonderful Joel Baker play our music for centering to begin our service.
Come one, come all, come with your missing pieces and your extra screws. Come with your hard edges and your soft spots. Come with your bowed heads and your upright spines. Come all you flamboyant and drab, verbose and quiet, fidgeting and lethargic. All you with large vision and tender hearts, all you with small courage and tender fears, bring your lisp and your stutter and your song, bring your gravel and your drawl and your lilt, bring your anger and your joy and your righteous indignation. Misfits and conformists and everyone in between, come into this space and be welcome. Bring who you are. Bring where you've traveled, bring what you long for, and let us worship together. My friends, will you rise in body or in spirit as we sing together our opening song, "Oh, We Give Thanks"? We'll sing it twice through.
Give thanks.
Please join me in reading our unison aspiration as Reverend Ian lights our chalice. May love be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. And now, please join me in reading the words on the screen as Robert Mendoza lights our biopop candles. We light these candles in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and other people of color as we journey towards spiritual wholeness. May we, as a beloved community, work to dismantle racism and all forms of oppression. May we live out our principles so that justice, dignity, and equity for all prevail.
Gosh, it's already my time. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning out there in the online land, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Desert. Hopefully you know me. If not, my name's Bob Brandcourt. I'm the president of the board of directors. And if you haven't known, I'm beaming with joy today because you'll hear about it in my joy that I shared in the book. And it's just, I've got a lot to be proud of because maybe I represent you as your figurehead. And today there's just, especially at a time that's ahead, it's just a lot going on today, and I'm super happy and proud of what's going on. But really, I'm here to introduce Billy William of Safe House of the Desert. I want you to take out your pocketbooks, listen to what you're about to hear. You guys chose Safe House of the Desert as the recipient this month so that we can provide them not only with their holiday gift cards that we like to give to their Harrison House residents, but as much money as we can give Safe House of the Desert altogether, which is part of Operation Safe House out of Riverside. They basically provide a lot of services to runaway, unhoused, unsheltered youth for any reason on an emergency basis under the age of 18, and then they provide transitional living services at the Harrison House from age 18 up to almost 22, just shy of 22. All right, shut up, Bob. Here comes Billy William.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for every year supporting us through the holidays. As Bob mentioned, we help transitional age youth 18 to just under 22, and the holidays are a very, very difficult time for them, and we appreciate all the support you give us. And with that being said, I'm going to give the mic over to our current client and artist, Mariah.
Hello, everyone. Before I get started, I just want to thank everyone here in attendance because your presence here means so much more than any speech that I could ever conjure together. So without any further ado, my name is Mariah Young, and I am a resident at Harrison House. And I've been at Harrison House for around a year now. And when I first came to Harrison House, I was in a very low place, both mentally, emotionally, and physically. Financially too. My family had gone homeless along with my 3 brothers, and due to this I had to drop out of both college, and I struggled in high school. I had to go to continuation school. I was working 2 jobs at the time, and during this I had to let go of my aspirations and my dreams, which were to follow a career of art. And this was a passion that I've had ever since a child, and unfortunately I had to let that go because of the things that I was going through. But I confided in a teacher, and this teacher let me know about Harrison House. And at Harrison House, when I first went there, it was much greater than anything I'd ever expected. It was a home, it was a community. It was a place where I can not only grow as an individual, but grow with other people who were going through the struggles that I was going through. I found peace and understanding in things that I was going through by confiding in the staff, which were very kind and open and loving in a way that I had never experienced before, because I had struggled with independence my whole life and being on my own my whole life. So when I came to Harrison House, it was something so new, and they give you room for independence, but they don't expect you to always be independent. They give you resources and they give you people and supplies that you need to grow as a person. And I genuinely don't know where I would be here today without the help of Harrison House and the help of strangers to help me grow as a human and spiritually and physically and financially. Is it okay if did I leave my, okay. I would like to read a Bible verse that really confided in me while I was struggling, and it's Matthew verses 25 through 33. Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you shall eat, nor what you shall drink, nor your body, nor what you shall put on. Is life not more than food, and your body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather in barns, and yet your heavenly Father provides for them. Are you not more valuable than they are? This verse really helped me when I was going through the things that I was, because it helped me understand that it was strangers of the world that I didn't know that were really helping me out and really growing me and my future. And I just want to thank each and every one of you. And I know that God exists because it's angels like you that walk the earth every day and help children and the next generation every day. So thank you so much. Yes, this is on my art. Thank you so much.
So you've heard, this is Mariah's art, and if you talk with her after the service, she'll tell you about all the art she's creating, that she has created since she's been at Harrison House. So, and is it for sale? Yes, everything is. There you go. Christmas is a-coming. Thank you, Billy and Mariah, for telling us the need. This is the 10th year that UUCOD has held this holiday gift drive for Safe House of the Desert and Harrison House. As Bob shared, yes, 10 years. As Bob shared, your generous donations will be turned into Target e-gift cards so residents like Mariah can buy what they need and want to live independent lives. Please, yeah. Please give as generously as you are able here in the sanctuary, or if you're watching online from the link you were emailed earlier today.
Thank you for your generosity to Safe House. Thank you for your generosity to the thriving of this congregation, this community, and its work in the world. Your generosity is appreciated and is much loved. Thank you. We are going to take some time now in our service to do a joyful thing. We are going to welcome new members into our community. I have some words to share before we do that. We find religious community in many, many ways. Sometimes we're born into it. Sometimes we are invited in by friends or neighbors who see our heart and know what we need. Sometimes we search long and hard to find a place we can feel seen and challenged at the same time. However we find it, one day, if we're lucky, we come to realize we have found a place that we want to be part of, a place where we want to put down some roots, make some deeper connections, a place we might call home. And so today we are welcoming to our community a group of people who want to throw their lot in with us. Imagine that. Who want to join this community as members, who want the thread of their lives to be knitted into the fabric of this place. We talk a lot, well, I talk a lot here, about crafting the beloved community, crafting shared ministry. In a little while, those of you who are new and joining today, when you sign the book, you'll get a certificate and a name tag, but you'll also be able to choose a small knitted square from the box in front of the bowl in front of the flowers there. This is a symbol of our commitment to knitting ourselves together into this beloved community, where each thread, each strand that we represent makes a difference to the whole. We are so delighted you have chosen to become part of who we are and who we are striving to be. I hope that being part of us will transform you. I know that it will transform us. And so I'd like to invite Randy Steele forward to have our new members sign our book and become official members of our community.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Randy Steele. I'm the co-chair of the membership committee. LeGrand couldn't be with us this morning, so we are co-chairing this year together. I wanted to first just recognize the membership committee. We work in conjunction with the stewardship committee. Margaret has been on for about 5 to 7 years, I would say, and she's gone on to do other things, so I wanted to thank her for her service, along with Tracy and Barb, and LeGrand is not here. So the 4 of us, and anybody who's interested in joining us, please come see Tracy or I after the service. So this morning we have 11 new members coming in. 7 of them are here today. Some were traveling and had family commitments. So as usual, we're going to have them come up and sign the book, receive a blue member name badge, a certificate, and a responsive reading page. And if they'll stand on the stage after they sign, we'll do our responsive reading together, all right? So the first person that is here is Karen Goodyear. She's here. Come on up, please. Come right up. Watch your toes. Watch your toes. Sign right here, please. And the next is Roberto Mendoza. Got it? Thank you. And there we go. And we have Frank Moniz and Patrick, sorry, reading upside down. Frank Monzo. Monzo, yes. And Patrick Tidmore, sorry. Thank you, guys. Come on up. He's got it. All right, next we got Steve and Wendy Thornton. Yeah. Just like in class and school, we always have to have a W, right? It's Wendy Wright. Come on up. All right. On to responsive reading. You'll lead us, Reverend?
The words for the congregation will be on the screen when it comes your time. With boldness, please. In the free religious tradition, membership is simple but wholehearted. We join each other on the path of liberal religion to affirm the values of Unitarian Universalism and give support and companionship to each other. We welcome all who wish to become a part of this community and share in our celebration of life. Each of you brings your own unique gifts to this congregation. We look forward to getting to know you better, to traveling our future path together, and to learning the wisdom that our shared tradition has to teach us. We are honored that you have chosen to become part of our beloved community. We value your participation and look forward to learning of your thoughts, hopes, and concerns. We welcome you into our church family and hope that we may be worthy of your trust. And everybody. As members of this congregation, we pledge to support this religious community with our hearts, hands, talents, and resources so that together we might become a voice for reason, freedom, love, and justice in our community and in the wider world. We knit our lives together to challenge and nurture one another in our efforts to speak honestly, to act with compassion, to respond to the call of justice with courage, to live with integrity, to love and care for one another, and to bless everyone, no exceptions. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I invite you to take a moment just of quiet and breathe in the love in this space, the hope, the possibility. Take a moment of quiet, breathing in the love and connection here. We also share today that this coming week on the 20th of November is the Trans Day of Remembrance, a day when we are called to remember the lives of our trans kin who have suffered at the hands of violence and hatred, who have lost their lives because they chose to live their life out loud, to be themselves. That choice of theirs is a glorious, beautiful thing. The choice to attack them with violence is a heinous thing. And we take time each year in November to remember those who have passed away, who have died. It is normally often our practice to read names out loud on this day. And I will share with you that when I went online looking at the international list, there were 350 names. And one of the lists I saw just for our United States, there were 100 names of our kin, our neighbors, our family, our friends, whose lives were lost to hatred and violence. I invite you to hold those people, though you do not know their names, in your hearts. They are beautiful. They are loved. Hold them in your hearts as we pray together today. And I will remind you that there is a gathering on Wednesday evening, if you notice in your newsletter, for Trans Day of Remembrance at Palm Springs City Hall. There's more information in the newsletter about that. Please join us if you can. Will you join me, though, now in a time of prayer or contemplation, if that is your practice? Breathe deeply. Fire of the Spirit, lifeblood of the universe, source and child of life, always part of us, as we are part of you, though we forget and believe ourselves separate and alone. We remember today the children of the universe whose lives were cut short by fear and hatred. We mourn the loss of their spirit and their vision and their hope. We break the silence of ignorance and fear by speaking the truth of violence against them aloud here in this room. May their holy lives inspire our hearts as we greet each new choice to act in the world. May we strive to build a world where we can be silent on this day because there is no violence to mourn. When each holy life can flourish and shine and bless the world in dignity with their joy and passion and rich beauty. May we remember that we are inextricably linked to each other, part of the vast fabric of the cosmos woven into a common life and a common destiny. May we rejoice in the glorious variety and strength of the cloth we weave with our lives. May we protect all the children of this universe, of our communities, with the strength of our love and the strong conviction of our actions for justice and celebration. And may we cherish each life as a gift of love to the world. We pause in silence and hold in our hearts those whose deaths came because of violence, hatred, and fear this year. May all beings know peace. May all beings know an end to suffering. May all beings know love. Friends, will you join your voices as we sing Spirit of Life, Fuente de Amor, together? If you were with us last week, you'll remember that I focused my reflection around 4 short chants, little songs that I'd been singing to myself to self-soothe and to encourage myself forward in the days since the presidential election. One of those songs focused on self-care, one on paying attention to intimate and our closest relationships, and one of them on engaging in action in the world to craft love and kindness and resilience and safety in the face of the attacks on our democracy and our caring for each other as a society. And there was one other song, and it went like this. Weave and spin, this is how our work begins. Mend and heal, take the dream and make it real. That song called us, I think, to the work of building, of crafting communities of love and inclusion and deep welcome and safety. Communities like this strive to be. Communities that embrace new members and participants as we have today, not because they are just like us or believe exactly what we believe, but because they bring beauty and knowledge and strength and passion and their wholly fantastic selves to be part of the cloth that we are weaving, the work that we are doing. Communities that speak out loud about the violence and oppression in the world, because we know in our bones that each and every life is sacred and beautiful and full of possibility and full of new ways of seeing the world. Communities that grapple with the hard realities of a country facing the active destruction of democratic norms and centering greed and cruelty and exclusion. Communities that hold in their hearts and minds the questions, who are we to be in such a world? How are we to treat each other in such a world? Now, as Unitarian Universalists, collectively we ground our response to these questions in the values that we hold dearly, values of justice, of equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. We ground our response in love. Our monthly themes this church year grow out of those values and the promises we make, the covenants we craft in centering those values in our lives. And this month, our theme is building accessible and inclusive communities, which grows out of the equity value and the statement, we covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. And so this week and next, we are exploring a couple of ways we might think about how we can be an accessible and inclusive community. And today we're thinking about diversity and accessibility in terms of how our minds and our brains work. Talking about neurodiversity. There's a word for you, neurodiversity. And one of the ways that our diversity, inclusion, and belonging team has been focusing over the past year is to grow in our understanding of the needs of a neurodiverse population. Thinking about neurodiversity is thinking about understanding brain-based disabilities and differences. Just as our bodies are diverse in their size and shape and contours in the ways we move and respond to the world, so too our brains and our minds function in sometimes profoundly different ways. The Harvard Health website talks about neurodiversity like this. Neurodiversity, they say, describes the idea that people experience and interact with the world around them in many different ways. There is no right way of thinking, learning, and behaving, and differences are not viewed as deficits. The word neurodiversity refers to the diversity of all people, but it is often used in the context of autism spectrum disorder, as well as other neurological or developmental conditions such as ADHD or learning disabilities. Our diversity, inclusion, and belonging ministry team has been engaging with materials created by the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association, a series of interviews and presentations from a wide range of UUs, both lay members and clergy, who live with brains that work differently than what society expects as normal. Folks with autism, folks living with bipolar disorder or anxiety or depression, people dealing with trauma, people living with attention deficit hyperactive disorder, Alzheimer's, people who are grappling with the different ways that our brains and minds function differently as we age, different ways of our being in the world because of all of this. The presenters of that set of materials shared their personal experiences as well as those of other Unitarian Universalists in their congregations and workplaces. And one of the realities that many neurodivergent folks deal with is having to fit in to function in a world not built for their brain. And some, especially in the ADHD community, talk about this as masking. Many neurodivergent people learned, implicitly or explicitly, to behave in ways that made them more palatable to other people. Neurodivergent people often learn that the neurotypical ways of being are better and that they should strive to act that way. Sometimes this is conscious, sometimes it is unconscious. For some adults who discover their neurodivergence in adulthood, it can feel very hard not to know who one really is as one peels back the layers put on to please others or to be safe. Camouflaging, masking is associated with higher rates of depression, anxiety, burnout, and suicide. Neurodivergent people and communities live with this kind of attention, this kind of necessity every day. And these communities and these people share that there are different models that they encounter when they interact with the world. There are different models we use when we think about neurodivergence and how we react and incorporate their lives into our understanding of reality. One way of thinking about it is medical. Divergence is brokenness, something to be fixed so that individuals can be returned to the norm. For example, ADHD brains deal with dopamine in very different ways than non-ADHD brains. The medical model would invite us to find ways to help ADHD brains to deal with dopamine in neurotypical ways or find other ways to mimic normal dopamine activity. This is why when you hear about ADHD folks, with that H being hyperactive, there's lots to unpack there, and you hear about them taking Riddell or Adderall, which are stimulants, it feels weird. But it's all about dopamine, or part of it is. Another way to think about or engage with neurodiversity is social. We might learn to see that divergence is a disability because of the social structures that we have built based on neurotypical brains. And that our work is to create systems and structures that embrace a diversity of brains and minds. And a third way, and these are three different ways, and they are all functional and they are all meaningful. We're not abandoning any of them necessarily. But a third way to think about or engage with this diversity is a relational one. What does the person in front of me need right now? Scottish comedian Fern Brady, who was diagnosed with autism in her early adulthood, talks about wishing that society and its media wouldn't see her life as either something to be pitied or something to be inspired by. She said, I wish people just viewed it with a bit more neutrality, you know? Because she's glorious Scottish accent, it's beautiful, but because you need to see it as a difference in operating systems. iPhone versus Android. The Ministers Association presenters that we studied invite us into wondering what our communities might look like, how they might be more welcoming if we develop a culture of curiosity about people's needs rather than an expectation that asking for accommodation was a burden. How might we plan our worship when we take into account the needs of people for whom a crowded room is painful and overwhelming? When we make decisions about spending resources on technology, how might we think differently when we take into account the needs of those who struggle with cognitive skills? How might our pastoral care look different and feel different if we take into account the impact of trauma in so many of our lives? How might we plan our meetings and our committees when we take into account the needs of people who deal with cognitive issues that affect memory and organization? How might we plan our social events when we take into account the needs of people who deal with sensory and emotional overload? There are, of course, challenges in our congregations. Many of us have only media portrayals of people with mental disabilities, portrayals which may not accurately or honestly caringly reflect the reality of neurodivergent lives. We are lucky that more and more people in the public eye, like Fern Brady, are being open and honest about their lives, and we are starting to see a broader and more complex portrayal of lives in the media, but there is a long way to go. Another challenge, of course, is that neurodivergent folks in congregations may have conflicting needs. A need to move constantly may conflict with a need for fewer distractions. Or we may be joyful that our worship space is vibrant and bursting at the seams, which may conflict with the needs of some in the room for a little more space to feel comfortable or safe. This is and will be an ongoing challenge and that can only be resolved in each situation as a community engages in seeing and hearing the experience of people who gather with curiosity, openness, and respect. Ramon Selov is an autistic professor and UU religious educator. He encourages us to think deeply and relationally as we craft our communities. When we accommodate people, he says, when we accommodate people, we can realize the truth that all people are valuable. The Accessibility and Inclusion Ministry team of the UUA offers some tips and guidelines for congregations and individuals figuring out how to live into this kind of accessibility. I'm going to share some of them with you. Assume that there are already many neurodivergent people in your congregation. They just haven't announced it. Some may not even know it themselves. Increasing accessibility and inclusion will help people who are already showing up. Assume that communication is always possible. The relational model asks us to meet the needs of the person in front of us, regardless of whether they have a diagnosis or if we know what it is. Self-disclosure of diagnosis is not required. Neurodivergence is complex and highly individual. No answer is going to work for everyone. Relational safety is essential for many people before they will discuss specific needs. Be patient and generous as people become more openly themselves. A lot of adults are being newly diagnosed after a lifetime of masking and may be rightly anxious about how to be themselves in public after having been told for years that their self was not welcome in public. Others are newly neurodivergent and are learning how to navigate. Heather Petit, a candidate for UU Ministries who identifies as being neurodivergent, reminds us that in this work, it doesn't have to be perfect, she says, to be trustworthy. It has to be willing to repair when mistakes are made, but it does not have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect today. We don't all have to already know everything. We need to be willing to learn and hear and see the reality of our neighbors' lives and find ways to build connections and safety and welcome. Now, this is not a new phenomenon we're dealing with, although you may be hearing some of these words for the first time. As the slides we've been seeing today remind us, thank you, Jack, neurodivergent folks have always been with us, always been thriving or just surviving in a society and culture not built for their brains. It may feel like there are so many more people identifying as neurodivergent today, like something has changed. But I'd like you to think of an example of left-handedness. Scientists are pretty sure that the percentage of left-handed people has been relatively constant over time. Small percentage of the population, relatively constant over time. And yet, there seem to be so many more left-handed folk around today. Why is that? Has something changed in our environment, in our food and our water? Well, if you're left-handed, I love you, you're left, well, I love all of you, and I live with a left-handed husband, so I hear this. If you're left-handed and older than some folks around you, you might remember with pain the ways that you were forced to learn with your right hand at school or at home, punished for using your left hand as your dominant hand. If you don't think it's important, even in our language, the word for left in Latin, sinister. The word for left in French, gauche. I am not allowed to use the G word at home. I'm serious. We have more people being out about being lefties these days because we have become more accepting and people feel safer and freer to say it because we've stopped punishing and vilifying. As we've started to be more accepting, as neurodivergent folks have started to, we didn't become more accepting because we just sort of grew on our own. As neurodivergent folks have started to speak up and advocate for themselves and their right to be accepted and embraced and accommodated, we are presented with the opportunity to discern and change how we react as an institution, as individuals, how we become more welcoming as a community. And we need to be more welcoming and inclusive. First, because it is who we say we are and strive to be. We covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. But also because we are facing the reality that the man that our president, who is our president-elect, the man that he has nominated to head the Department of Health and Human Services, is a longtime proponent of the destructive theory that vaccines cause autism. He has also said that he thinks antidepressants lead to school shootings, and that people who use Adderall, a drug used successfully by many ADHD people to function and thrive, people who use Adderall should be, he's going to say encouraged, I've heard stripped of that medication, and that their tech gadgets, because those are the problems, and sent to wellness farms to grow organic food. This is the country we are facing, the reality that we may be living into. And our work, some of our work, as we tend to ourselves and our intimate relationships, as we work in our community to protect and embrace diversity and safety for all of our neighbors, as we do this work, our work is also to craft communities of curiosity, accessibility, openness, and welcome. And so in the weeks and months ahead, as we very slowly, there's no big program yet, but we very slowly start to think about this as you hold in your hearts, as you're in meetings, as you're in gatherings, as you're in worship, as you're making plans, hold all of us in your hearts as you make choices about what we're going to do. Keep our minds and our hearts open. Now, sometimes, last week I talked about the songs that I sing to soothe myself, and sometimes in the face of angst and fear of the world, the old stories offer us reminders of how we can be, how we can live into a world of holy diversity and rich possibilities. Stories like the story that Mariah shared today from the book of Matthew. But I'll finish with this old story, which I've told you before, and I will tell you again. An old rabbi once asked his pupils how they could tell when the night had ended and day had begun. Could it be, asked one of the students, when you could see an animal in the distance, tell whether it's a sheep or a dog? No, answered the rabbi. Could it be, asked another, when you can look at a tree in the distance and tell whether it's a fig tree or a peach tree? No, answered the rabbi. Then what is it? Demanded the students. The rabbi said, it is when you can look on the face of anyone you meet and see that they are your kin. Because if you can't see that, it's still night. May we grow in our hearts and in our actions to be a welcoming place for all of our kin in this world, this day, and in the future. May it be so. Friends, in our commitment to truth, our commitment to justice, to honesty, and to love, I invite you to rise, please, in body or in spirit as we sing our closing song, number 6, Just as long as I have breath. The words are on the screen.
Still with hope I meet each day.
And now for our congregational news. There are so many opportunities for you to participate with the Social Justice Committee this month. But before I share them, I first want to thank the 25 UUCOD members and friends who walked and rode in the Pride Parade 2 weekends ago. I also want to recognize and thank the Pride Parade Planning Committee, Bob Rancourt, Ruben Gallardo, John Ressler, Michael Allen, and Reverend Ian. Additionally, Jack Fitzsimmons and Marty Grunwald created our beautiful banners. This is the largest outreach that UUCOD does, and I could not organize it without them. On to November's events. Today is your last chance to sign up to hand out Thanksgiving food baskets to migrant families in the East Valley with Galilee Center on Wednesday, November 27th. You can sign up on the center table in the lobby, or if you're watching from home, you can look in last Friday's newsletter for details and sign up online. One moment, please. If you're like me, you're already getting ready for Christmas, buying presents, planning who will be around your Christmas Day celebration. Well, the Social Justice Committee is busy planning the Coachella Valley Unified School District's Migrant Education Toy Drive and Food Box Drives, and we invite you to join us. This is the 11th year we will serve dinner at their annual Christmas party. Here's how you can participate. But the thing is, you only have 13 days to do it. You can donate to the Christmas toy and food box drives. Your generosity is greatly needed to help our neighboring migrant families living in the East Valley have a more joyful Christmas. Look in last Friday's newsletter for all the details, the link to donate, along with sign-ups to volunteer for the food box packing party on December 7th and to serve dinner at their Christmas party on December 10th. And finally, let's give another round of applause for our new members. To celebrate them, after the service today, you are invited to attend the light luncheon in the community room hosted by the membership committee. My apologies to anyone who's watching online. You won't be able to join us, though I know you'll be with us in spirit. And while you're in the community room, look on one of the walls. Mel Wilkinson's mother has her artwork displayed up there. And now, please join me in reading the words on the screen as Reverend Ian extinguishes our chalice this morning. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
My friends, I want to finish today by sharing the words of my colleague Julian Jamaica Soto. To the people who have mistaken freedom for liberation, to be free, you must embrace the breadth of your own existence without apology, even if they try to take it from you. You must know not that you can do whatever you want. You are not a kudzu vine eating entire hillsides for the purpose of feeding your own lush life. You must know instead that inside you are entire universes, milky blue, magenta, and gold, expanding. But to actually be free, you must know and you must fight for the entire universes inside of everyone else. Being free is not a license, but a promise. With that promise in our hearts, friends, go in peace to love and serve the world.